It was a crisp autumn morning in Maplewood Estates, the kind of suburban neighborhood where lawns look like golf courses. Mailboxes matched perfectly, and the HOA's shadow loomed over every fence post and garden gnome. Emma Harper, a 38-year-old Navy veteran, long blonde hair tied in a loose ponytail, jeans and a worn Navy t-shirt, was setting up the folding chairs in her backyard. Her golden retriever, Rocco, bounded over with a tennis ball in his mouth. "Not now, buddy," Emma said with a grin. "I've got 6 kids coming in 15 minutes. Emma had started Harper Learning Corner, a free tutoring program for struggling kids in her neighborhood. It wasn't a business. She didn't charge a cent. It was her way of giving back, something she'd learned in the Navy: leave no one behind. The small shed in her backyard had been converted into a bright study space with bookshelves, colorful bean bags, and a large whiteboard. Every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, kids would gather here to get help with math, reading, and science. The trouble began exactly 3 weeks after she started. Emma was arranging math flashcards when she heard the sound of heels clicking on pavement. Sharp, purposeful, and a little too fast. Great, she thought. That's never good news. Karen Mitchell, the HOA president, appeared at the gate holding a clipboard like it was a sword. "Emma, we need to talk." Her voice had that mix of faux concern and barely disguised hostility. Emma wiped her hands on her jeans. "Sure, Karen, what's up?" Karen glanced past her at the kids filing into the backyard. "We've had reports of increased traffic on your street. Cars dropping off children, people coming and going. This constitutes operating a business from your home." Emma blinked. "It's not a business. I'm volunteering. These are neighborhood kids." Karen's lips tightened. "Regardless, per Section 14, Article B of the HOA covenants, you cannot operate any service from your home without approval and a permit." "It's not a service for profit. It's just tutoring. Free." Karen scribbled something on her clipboard. "We'll see what the board says." 2 days later, Emma found a bright red paper taped to her front door. Violation notice. Unapproved business activity. $500 per day until cessation. Emma felt heat rise in her face. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. This was targeted. By the next tutoring session, Emma noticed something new. A large sign had been staked into the grass near her driveway. "Warning, unlicensed activity on premises." The kids looked scared walking past it. Parents hesitated. Emma marched outside, ripped the sign from the ground, and tossed it onto her porch. "This is harassment," she muttered. From across the street, Karen was standing with her arms crossed, watching. That evening, one of the parents, Mrs. Collins, knocked on Emma's door. "I'm so sorry, Emma, but I can't send Noah anymore. Karen called me personally. She said the HOA will fine us too if we keep participating." Emma's hands tightened into fists. "She's lying. They can't fine you for something I'm doing." Mrs. Collins looked nervous. "I know, but I can't risk it." One by one, a few parents pulled their kids out. Emma's group dropped from 8 students to 4. The very next week, a city bylaw officer knocked on Emma's door. "Ma'am," he said apologetically, "we've had a complaint about excessive noise." Emma stared at him. "It's tutoring, in my backyard. The loudest thing here is a pencil sharpener." The officer shrugged. "Just doing my job, but technically, if someone complains enough, it could escalate." She knew exactly who someone was. Saturday morning, the kids were working on math problems when Karen stormed into the yard without knocking. She held a huge violation notice in one hand and pointed directly at Emma with the other. "You are done, Harper. The fines are now $3,500 and climbing every day. You're breaking the law, you're disturbing the peace, and you're endangering this neighborhood's property values." The kids froze. One little girl started to cry. Emma stepped forward, placing herself between Karen and the children. "Get out of my yard, Karen, now!" Karen's face twisted into a sneer. I'll have the sheriff here next time. This, the finger pointing, the shouting, the humiliation in front of the kids, was the moment. The anger, the defiance, the humiliation in front of the kids. Emma decided she'd had enough. Emma spent the next 2 days gathering evidence, copies of all her flyers that clearly stated free community tutoring, statements from parents about the benefits of her program, photos showing the quiet, peaceful nature of her sessions, and the kicker, an email from the City Youth Services Office confirming she was a registered volunteer for a grant-funded after-school program. She sent everything to the mayor's office with a detailed account of the HOA's harassment. The following Thursday, just as tutoring began, a black SUV pulled up. Out stepped Mayor Lucas Bennett, flanked by 2 aides and a photographer. Karen's house was directly across the street. She came out confused, clutching her clipboard. The mayor smiled warmly at Emma. "Miss Harper, I heard you're running one of the most impactful volunteer programs in the city. I wanted to see it in action." Karen's jaw dropped. Emma invited him in. The kids lit up, showing off their workbooks. The mayor knelt beside them, asking questions and even solving a math problem on the whiteboard. As the mayor wrapped up, he turned to Karen, who was still standing awkwardly by the fence. "Mrs. Mitchell," he said loudly, "I've reviewed Ms. Harper's program. It's city-approved, funded, and exactly the kind of initiative we need. I strongly suggest the HOA support it, or at least stay out of the way." The photographer snapped a picture at that exact moment. Emma smiling with the mayor, kids gathered around, Karen in the background looking like she'd bitten into a lemon. The next HOA meeting was brutal for Karen. Parents showed up in droves, demanding she drop the fines and apologize. Facing public outrage, the board voted to remove all violations from Emma's record. Within weeks, Emma's tutoring program doubled in size. Local news picked up the story, calling it the little classroom that beat City Hall. Karen avoided Emma for months. Every time they crossed paths, Emma just smiled politely. The kind of smile that said, "Don't try me again." Moral: sometimes the best revenge is letting the whole world see the truth and watching your enemy shrink in the spotlight.